This is the Toyota LandCruiser Prado 250 series, and it's received some feedback when it comes to the hybrid system, the compromised boot space, but where it does fall short is the pricing. When you go up to VX, Altitude or Kakadu, it does cap out between $90,000 and $100,000 on the road. But do you really need to purchase the most expensive version? Well, the one I've got is the $72,000 GX, and I'm going to guide you through the car to tell you if it is a better alternative comparing it to other body-on-frame ute-based four-wheel drives. So, as always, like, share, subscribe. There's a lot to cover, and let's get into it. As I said, pricing starts from $72,000. Now that is before on-road costs, and that does mean this is more expensive compared to the Ford Everest and the Isuzu MU-X, and it's also on par with pricing with the Denza B5. Now there are a few different versions of the Prado to choose from. The GX is only a 5-seater, whereas if you go GXL and above, they are all 7-seaters. And all versions are powered by a 4-cylinder turbo diesel with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. And in terms of options, depending on the grade, you do have a selection of colours to choose from, and the brand also offers a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty and a 7-year powertrain warranty if you service your car on time, which is every 6 months or 10,000 kilometres. Let's now talk about styling. I do like the design theme. It is very retro, and it's a bit of a throwback to an FJ, an old LandCruiser, or even an 80 series. And in my opinion, I prefer the base model, mainly because the badge is spelt out, opposed to having the modern logo. But there are some modern touches, such as LED headlights with auto high beam, LED fog lights down below, and down the bottom, plastic cladding, underbody protection, and unrated recovery hooks. And if we check out the side view, the GX gets dark grey 18-inch alloy wheels, all-terrain tyres, and you'll also notice on the higher grades they come with body-coloured sections, whereas on lower grades, black plastic, and the side steps do look pretty flimsy. But I do like the power folding mirrors. They look pretty retro, but it is worth pointing out that you don't get privacy glass, a sunroof, or even roof racks. And coming to the back, we have full LED tail lights, the glass panel opens up, and the tailgate also opens normally, no side opening tailgate like on the previous generation. There's also black LandCruiser Prado badging spelt out and a Toyota logo spelt out as well. The GX also gets black plastic rear bumpers, the towing package in the centre as well, and a full-size spare wheel. Let's now move on to the interior. So I really do like the presentation of the Prado. It comes across retro and a little bit more special comparing it to your typical ute-based SUV. But that said, we are in the basic GX, so if I was to compare this to the new Denza B5, that definitely does look a lot more premium. And whilst it does feel pretty well built, soft padding up here on top of the dashboard, the center console, it does get a bit durable where you rest your elbow, down on the bottom section, the glove box lid over here as well, and instead of a leather wheel like what is on the GXL, you get a polyurethane wheel. You do get manual tilt and reach adjustment, but opposed to leather seats, seat heating and ventilation like on GOX, you get cloth upholstery, which I must say feel pretty supportive, and I do like the material. But yeah, manual adjustment, no electronic seat adjustment, but there is dual zone climate control down here. And the infotainment is based off a 12.3-inch touchscreen, and it is pretty basic to operate. You have your icons here to swap between menus, some steering wheel shortcut icons on the wheel. And look down here, there's also a volume dial, which is good to see. And some of the key features include voice control. There's inbuilt navigation with 3D mapping, and that does look pretty clear. And for smartphone integration, wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And then if I go into media sources, AM, FM, DAB, Bluetooth, USB, and an HDMI port down here, Miracast screen mirroring. And if I go into the car menu, you can look at your fuel consumption, trip information, and there's also a dedicated off-road page to look at pitch and roll, brake and accelerator feedback. Next, safety. If I go into reverse, a surround view camera system with a few different angles and views to pick from. Then if I click on view, That'll take you into a top-down 360 view, and you can also change the view on that as well. So yes, not the best camera system when it comes to definition. There are also front and rear parking sensors, rear cross traffic alert, but no auto-dimming mirror, nor do you get the camera-based mirror, but there is automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control with a lane departure warning and a lane keeping assistant, traffic sign recognition, and a driver monitoring system up here. And this grade also gets a 7-inch screen, which is also customizable, but not as configurable as the bigger 12.3-inch screen you get in higher grades. And over in the center, the controls for the four-wheel drive system. It does run permanently in four-wheel drive high range, and you flick this down to go into low range. The button here for the center diff lock. And when you move up the range, you get additional off-road equipment, front and rear lockers, and additional drive modes depending on specification. Whereas on the GX, you do miss out. There are some on-road drive modes between Eco, Normal, and Sport. DAC Crawl, your off-road cruise control, and Hill Descent control. This ECT button forces the automatic to start in second gear, and there is also an additional drive mode for towing. Next, storage and connectivity. There is no wireless phone charging pad, but you can leave your phone there, 2 small cup holders, and some center storage, which does go down pretty deep. The glove box looks fairly decent for all of your papers, manuals. The door bins are okay, they can fit a large water bottle. And up here, grab handles, and behind the sun visors you do get lighting, mirrors, but no sunglasses holder. And climbing in and out is pretty easy thanks to those plastic steps. And there's also keyless entry, push button ignition, and unlike the Denza B5, a traditional gear lever. Right, second row with this seat in my driving position. Knee room is okay, but toe room is a bit tight. Headroom is okay. You can also recline the seats backwards and forwards, but there is no ability to move forwards or backwards. And over in the middle seat, as you can see, toe room is pretty tight, but knee room and headroom is okay. I do also like this, LandCruiser spelt out. There are also directional air vents, 2 USB-C charging ports, a 12-volt socket. Over here, map pockets, grab handle, and decent door bin storage, which can hold a water bottle, lighting up the top here, and a flip down armrest with 2 small cup holders, and for your child seats, 2 ISOFIX points on the 2 window seats, and behind me, 3 top tether points. If you go for the GXL and grades above, you get 7 seats and a power tailgate, whereas on this one, you do get the glass opening, but a manual operated tailgate, which might matter to some people. And if we check out the size, it is slightly bigger than the 7-seater, so enough room for large items of luggage. And of course, the downside, this being a hybrid, thanks to emissions, the boot floor is compromised and it does sit up pretty high. You do get this underfloor section, tie-down points to keep items secure, an AC power socket, and Toyota has also left in the cup holders, air vents, and the grab handles from the 7-seater versions. You can also fold down the seats for additional space and tumble the seats forwards, but you got to remember to clip them on to prevent them from falling. And finally, for all the key specifications on boot volume, on your screen is a breakdown between the 5 and 7-seater. All Prados get the same 2.8 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel, assisted by a 48-volt mild hybrid system and a DC to DC converter. Plus, there's also a lift-in battery in the back. Now, it's also the same powertrain from the current generation Hilux, but opposed to a 6-speed auto, this does get a much better, smoother 8-speed automatic, but this doesn't share the same platform as the current gen Hilux. It sits on the same platform as the 300 series. And of course, it is rugged, a body-on-frame construction. And when you step up to VX and Kakadu, you can get adaptive damping, whereas other grades like this gets a more basic coil sprung suspension setup. And when it comes to towing, 3.5 tons of towing and an unbraked figure of 750 kilograms. And I'm also going to take this out off-roading, so on your screen is a breakdown on off-road angles. Okay, driving impressions. There's great forward visibility, good side vision, chunky wing mirrors, and at the back there's good visibility as well, and no third row seating compromising on the view. The camera system is okay for what it is. Now the main point of difference, this being a lower grade version of the Prado, there is no adaptive damping, and you do miss out on some off-road and on-road driving modes. But I think around town, this still feels pretty good for a body-on-frame vehicle. Yes, if you flick it around corners, there is a lot of body roll, but it's pretty relaxing to cruise around in. The seats are pretty cozy, and when you put your foot down, that 48-volt mild hybrid system does improve the acceleration, and the throttle feedback is also pretty smooth. There's good brake pedal feel, but it's certainly not as punchy comparing it to the Ford Everest with a V6. I do also like the safety tech. It isn't as high tech as a Denza B5 or some of the other rivals, but I do like how the safety systems actually work. Even though this does have a driver monitoring system, it isn't noisy. It just shows you a message in front of you. The adaptive cruise control is easy to engage. The lane centering works pretty well. And as I said, it's not the class-leading vehicle in the segment, but it certainly does have a lot of character, like a Land Rover Defender, or even a modern version of the 70 series in terms of what you're looking at in front of you. But what I do also like with this powertrain is the 8-speed auto. I do wish they would have put this in the new Hilux, because not only it makes the powertrain a lot more smoother, it also makes the powertrain more efficient. You'll get around 9 litres per 100, and Toyota claims a fuel consumption figure of 7.8. And on the freeway, I have dropped this down to around 6 litres, so it is pretty efficient. So should you step up to a more expensive VX or Kakadu, well, that is entirely up to your budget. But I think if you are serious about off-road driving, the Altitude is the best grade for you. But I think as a well-rounded grade, the GXL with leather upholstery, auto tailgate, 7 seats is a better option as a family vehicle for resale, and yeah, like I said, as an all-rounder. Okay, time to go off-road. Like always, nothing too hardcore. This also runs permanently in four-wheel drive high range for an unsealed and sealed surface. But the first drive mode I want to test out is DAC Crawl, which is an off-road cruise control which works on gravel and driving off-road at low speeds, and it is one of the best off-road cruise controls that I have experienced. It works like normal cruise control but for off-road driving, and it also works as your hill descent control. So going down this hill, my feet are off the pedals and it's going down at the right speed. You can also adjust the speed control on the steering wheel with the plus and minus, but I'm pretty confident that this is doing a very good job. And even the bumpers, there's good clearance all round, and even the turning circle is pretty sharp. And let's now go up, going back into four-wheel drive low range. Actually, can you engage the center diff lock in four-wheel drive high range? Yes, you can. Okay, so we'll just go back into low range, or engaged, and we'll go back up. So just under 2000 RPM. Plenty of grip, plenty of traction, no fuss at all. And a lot of four-wheel drives are pretty capable these days, but I think any Toyota product, they are the best when it comes to off-road capability. And of course, they are reliable and they do hold their value. So yeah, as expected, no fuss at all. It's going up here quite well. And the throttle feedback is also pretty controllable. Good brake pedal feel off-road. And it's also quite cozy, especially in these cloth seats. And so, what is my conclusion on the Prado GX? Like I said, as a family vehicle, the GXL might be your better option, as it does come with 7 seats, an electric tailgate, leather upholstery, seat heating and ventilation. And whilst I do appreciate the simplicity of the GX, especially those cloth seats, it is a lot of money. But then again, the Prado does have a very good reputation when it comes to resale and reliability. So yes, GXL for your budget alternative might be a better pick, and if you are serious about off-road driving, the Altitude, but even without the off-road drive modes, the rear diff lock, this is still pretty capable. But would you pick this over a Denza, or would you pick a Ford Everest V6? Let me know your feedback and tell me if you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We've got plenty of videos coming very soon, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.